Could you start off by telling me, just your first name if you're just comfortable with that? Or,
Sure, Amy.
Okay. Yeah. And what are you doing here today?
I'm here because my whole family disconnected from me when I left Scientology, and I really would love to be reconnected with them. I miss them a lot, and I don't think there's any reason for them not to talk to me. I'm not a murderer. I've never done anything illegal. Just because I choose not to be part of an organization is not a reason to break up families.
And when did you leave?
I left in October 2006.
And what was the main impetus for that? What was the reason?
Oh man, it's hard to explain. It was a buildup of things. Eventually, I'd been there for 8 years since I was 16, and it felt so hard to get anything done. I didn't feel like we were doing any good. It was all just internal laundry, red tape, rules for no reason. I couldn't see my family. I used to sneak away to see them, every once in a while, and that got canceled as soon as that was found out about. And I've just had enough.
And why were you separated from your family at that point? I mean, were they in the church as well, correct?
Well, they weren't staff members, so where I was, we signed a billion-year contract. We live there, we birth there, we eat there. They drive us around town, so to get off to see your family, you have to do a whole written submission to be able to see them, and that has to go through all of your seniors, and it's so much red tape.
Now, when you originally were involved, I mean, what was your aspiration? I mean, what did you hope to get out of being in Scientology?
Well, I didn't know anything else but Scientology because I grew up in Scientology, and to me, they really, really convince you that it's the only thing. You've heard Tom Cruise's video, and they're the only authorities on anything. They're the only ones who can help in a car accident. And I really started to believe that this was the only way we would ever get freedom, and the world would ever become a better place. And of course, I'm a good person, and I want the world to be a better place. So I was just convinced that was the only way, and there was no other way.
Was there anything outside of the church that kind of compelled you to leave, or did you just sort of wake up one day and decide, this is for me?
Well, it was just like, numerous things started happening to me since I've been there, and I have a whole story, but it would take too long to say here. But it was just a numerous amount of events that really upset me, that pissed me off, that I knew was not right, that I knew violated my own rights, that I knew was not correct, and finally...
Could you name one?
Off
the top of your head?
It's hard to explain because there's so much nomenclature, but just even the way I joined the organization, even after that I was still like gung-ho about it, but they forced you to join, and they used... One thing that really stood out for me that made me leave was when I started voicing things I felt were wrong, like, hey, this isn't right, this is not for the policies I've studied, this is not right. Then they would put me in a confessional that basically asks you where you started to feel that way and how you observed it, and then ask you what crime you committed that makes you think that. And I went, that makes no sense. So if I ever find anything wrong in this organization, I'm going to be asked for my crimes. What about someone actually looking into what I'm saying? I realized there was no way out of it. There was no way to improve what I saw was happening internally in the church.
If you could talk to your family today, what would you say to them?
I would ask them, is this worth it? Is it worth it? I don't understand why losing a daughter could be more important, why Scientology could be more important than losing a daughter. My family has always had a really strong family bond and connection, and, I don't see that everything they've gotten out of Scientology that they say is worth losing their daughter, and I'd ask them why,
And one last question. If there's one thing you would want to say to the Church of Scientology today, what would that be?
Oh my gosh.
Do we have enough tape for that? No.
That's a hard one. It depends, because I really feel like there's a person, I really feel like, from what I've heard, that there's someone running the church right now who is not a good person, and so it's hard for me to just, the church is a very general. I think there's a lot of very good people in the church. I really do. There's a lot of my friends are there. They're good people, but there's a person whose power is seeping down further and further, and I would just kind of ask them, like, don't you see what I see? Don't you see the wrongnesses? Am I the only person who saw that, Yeah. I'd want them to wake up and see,
And one last thing.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Anonymous is helping to maybe wake some people up inside the church, and maybe even end the organization itself as we know it?
Absolutely, I do. I really do. They're scared of Anonymous. I know that, the church internally. And they give us all really a voice where we didn't have one before, a chance to be heard. Look at all the media that's here today, So, yeah, and everybody who sees it is going to get a little bit more questioning, a little bit more doubt in their mind. And I think that's what people need to do, is start asking themselves questions about what they see in the church.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, I think I've said enough.
Okay, can we just get a shot of your sign real quick?
Okay, sure.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Okay, dude.